Good morning, everybody. Welcome to session 4 of retirement. My name is Tony Rojas, the CEO and founder of Prevail Life Agency. Today, we're going to be going over different retirement products within Athene. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up my slide here. Hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. Awesome. So talk part 4. Let's go over a few of the different types, right? So, and again, I'm in California, so some of these are going to be based on California standard. Again, every state varies. Most of them are like California, but there are a few states that have different numbers. But real quick, let's go into the Ascent Pro 10 bonus. And when doing the application, you definitely want to make sure that it says Ascent Pro 10 bonus if you are doing this one, okay? The primary use for this one is protection and income for life. So something very simple. You want to make sure you take notes. If you guys want to take screenshots, that's completely fine. The minimum deposit into this one in most states, about 95% of states, is 10,000. And again, this can be for anybody from the ages of 0 to 78. Again, we'll go over some different scenarios at the end and why I don't recommend this product specifically for someone that is 0 years old. Okay, so as far as that, take some pictures, take some note on that. And then we have the Performance Elite. There are different years, right? So the Performance Elite 7, 10, and 15, that all just means years. Okay. So if you're doing a Performance Elite 7, that means that the client will have this policy for at least 7 years. If they have a 10, it's going to be a 10-year, right? And then there's a 15 years. So again, I just want to make sure you guys understand that anytime it has a number at the end, that just means the years. Okay. The primary use for this one is growth and protection. And I know I got some of my Spanish people out here, and I completely forgot to say the first one, the Ascent. So, the Ascent, el servicio del Ascent es para protección y para, ¿cómo se dice? Income for life. Marlene, help me out, Marlene.
Retiro para de
Por
vida.
vida.
Retiro de vida.
Retiro por vida. So, cuando te jubilas, te van a dar dinero cada mes por el resto de tu vida. So, and don't worry for all my Spanish people that if I don't have the specific Spanish word, definitely chime in and let me know exactly how to say it. The Performance Elite es para crecer tu dinero, pero también va a proteger a tu dinero que muevas a esta cuenta. The minimum deposit is 10,000 into this account as well. And again, the ages from 0 to 78. So el mínimo que puedes mover para esta cuenta es $10,000. Para la edad de 0 a 78. If you guys took a screenshot, you guys pueden tomar un foto. And we're gonna do a little bit of comparisons, okay? So I think this is what's good for you guys. If you guys want to take a picture of this specifically, we'll go over the Ascent Pro, right? From column to column. So again, the minimum deposit that you want to move into this account is $10,000. The Performance Elite is 10,000, and then there's a Performance Elite Plus, right? It's also 10,000, okay? So when you're looking at it and a client says, "Hey, I have over 10,000," these products are probably going to pop into your head, okay? The reason you want to pick specific types of life retirement on this side right here of the Ascent Pro is protection and income. So this guarantees their 401ks, their 403bs, their 457s, their TSPs, their pensions, their traditional IRAs. This allows them to protect their money. So this account protects their money, guarantees the protection, and it also allows them to get income for life, right? And I'll go into more details into that. Performance Elite is looked at as more growth focused, right? So when you move your money into the Performance Elite, you're looking at growth. Performance Elite Plus, also growth. It allows for more growth, right? And we'll get into more details into that with allocation. So the next part is access. When somebody says, "Hey, can I touch my money?" Right? Whether they're 30 years old, 50 years old, 60 years old, they're probably going to ask, how much accessibility do I have to these accounts, right? With the Ascent Pro 10 bonus, you're going to have immediate access to this. So what that means is if I retire today and today is, March 1st, Of course, I have to do the application, etc. Once that money hits the account with the theme, let's just say now it's March 15th, and the client said, "Hey, I don't really need to touch my money," but by March 28th, they say, "Hey, Anna, I need to touch my money. I need some money." Anna's next question is going to say, "Do you want income for life, money every month, or do you just need to access a certain amount right now?" So that's very key, right, in what you're going to be asking the client, because maybe some of the clients are going to say, "Hey, look, I only need to touch $10,000." Okay, well, the 10% allows you to touch up to 25,000 as an example. Okay, so this one allows you to touch it immediately and then turn income on for life. I've had some clients where they say, "Hey, I don't need to touch the money. The money's there," and it's 3 months in, and then they're like, "Hey, Tony, I really need to start getting income for life." Okay, perfect, no problem. There's a form, right? And we can go over the form. The next time we do this, we're going to go over suitability and different things on the application. There's a form. You fill it out. You send it in, and you can call the company as an agent. Say, "Hey, the client would like to get income for life. When would they be able to?" They'll base it off of their retirement date, their age, and then they'll let you know, "Hey, this client can get it on the 22nd." Okay, perfect. And then they'll be sending a check out every single month on the 22nd. So this is for people that are retired already or want to retire within the next few years, and they want immediate access for income for life. The Performance Elite. This one gives 5% access after year 2. So in the first year, you can't touch it. Okay, you're not supposed to touch it. Can you? Yes, but there's going to be penalties. What we want is to make sure that our clients don't pay any penalties. Okay, so this one right here, there's access, but it's down to 5%. Performance Elite Plus, you're adding a rider on there to allow you to touch the money. So if a client says, "Hey, I really want to grow my account, I want to grow it as much as I can, but I still want some maxes just in case I need it. I'm in my 50s, and I may need to touch it by the time I hit 60." Okay, I'm 58 years old. In 2 years, I definitely want to buy maybe a house. I want to invest in something. This is probably a good product, right? Because it's going to give you the best accumulation. You're going to get 10% access in the first year, but if you don't touch it in the first 2 years, it doubles. So now you can go to 20% to withdraw.
Uh,
So what
do they
this
sorry to cut you off, Tony, do they have to be older for them to be able to touch it? Or let's say
you
it's
want
a
them to be 50.
37-year
you
old.
you want them to be at least 50 years old, and we'll get into that, right? We'll get into all those details right now. So if somebody's moving over their money, right? So we'll go over the 59 and a half and all that towards the end right now. So if you're looking at this, and let's just say they don't touch their money for 4 years, does that change the amount? Well, they only still get the 20%. With this, let's just say in the second year, they decided to touch 10%, but then they don't touch that money again for 4, 5, 6 years. Can they pull out to 20%, even though they touched it in that second year, 10%? Yes. If as long as they don't touch it for 2 years rolling, they can then touch 20% of it. So this allows them to get that access. Now, some of you guys are wondering, okay, why the benefits to these certain policies, right? Well, there is a fee for the Ascent Pro because it does give them income for life. It is going to have a 1% fee. Okay. So every year for those 10 years, they're going to have that 1% fee. The Performance Elite does not have a fee. So if you ever move anybody into the Performance Elite, maybe they are 37 years old, right? And they just want to put their money, they want to roll over their money, and they said, "Hey, I'm not going to touch it till at least I'm 59 and a half because I don't want to get penalized by the IRS," right? If you decide to touch it in 10 years when you're 47 and you want to touch your own money, you can, right? Athena's not going to say you can't touch your money, but there will be a fee. There will be a penalty by the IRS because you're not 59 and a half. So remember when in the beginning when I said I probably wouldn't put a kid into the Ascent Pro because they're going to have a fee attached to it. They're going to be paying a fee for 50 years, right? So you don't want to do that specifically. The Performance Elite Plus, it does come again with a fee because it does give you access in the first year, and it gives you up to 20%. So it gives you 10% and 20% after the 2 years that you don't touch it. And that fee is 0.95. Charges. right? So when you're building out this annuity, there are no charges unless you pick specific allocations. And what an allocation is where you're putting the money. So if you're putting it in the S&P 500, it'll say, hey, look it. And I'll show you guys in the end. Actually, you know what? Let me pull it up right now. Well, I actually clicked out of it already. Sorry, guys. I'll pull it up in a bit. We'll pull up the allocations in a few. So when you pick the allocations, maybe it says, hey, you'll get 80% of the S&P 500, whatever it does, right? On the charges, let's just say you say, hey, look, I want to get that 1% fee because it's going to give me 170% of what the S&P 500 does. So you may say, hey, I'm young. I don't mind paying that 1%. I want to make sure I get 100+% of what the market does in the S&P 500 or in the NASDAQ or in the AI powered. So there's different allocations where you can put your money. Again, all this is on Athene, and I'll go ahead and pull that stuff up at the end so that we can kind of review and go through it. And again, the company is always there to answer your questions. Hey, over the last 12 months, what did this product do? Hey, over the last 10 years, what did this specific allocation do with this product? So again, you're only going to have charges if you select that on the allocations during the application. Again, it goes all for Ascent Pro, Performance Elite, and the Performance Elite Plus. But you can design this to where there are no fees on it, right? The premium bonus, what this means is that when you roll over money, right? Let's say Madeleine has um, $100,000, then she's able to move over the money, right? And I don't lead with this specifically, just so you guys know. I don't go tell them, Marlene, hey, Marlene, if you move your money with me, I'm going to give you a bonus. I don't do that. I first find out what she needs. I find out her needs, everything. And then when we're doing the application, everything, blah, blah. And I tell her, hey, also one of the bonuses is that you get a 10% bonus with the Ascent Pro. And she's gonna be like, oh, that's neat. Free money, right? Who's not gonna like free money, right? Okay, perfect. Now let's just say I'm doing a performance elite. The premium bonus is 13%, right? So you moving over your money, you're gonna get a 13%. The Performance Elite Plus, you're going to get an 18%. So again, even though you have a fee of 0.95, you're adding that rider. It allows you to get a bigger premium bonus as well, an 18%. Some states are different. Some states are maybe 13%, but some states also go up to 20%, just depending on what state you're in specifically. Okay. On the income bonus, this is where you're looking at somebody, say, let's say Marlene, and I'm saying, and using Marlene because I can see her on my screen right here. So if Marlene says, hey, I'm already retired, I want to move my money, I want to get income for life, I'm going to tell her all these, hey, look, you're moving 100,000, you're going to be able to get income for life, and you're going to get a 10% bonus. But when you decide to start taking income for life, we're going to fill out that form. We're going to send it in. They're going to say, hey, look at this is actually what you get on a monthly basis because we're going to give you an additional 20% on that income. So it's an income base. So let's just say at this point when she retires, she has 150,000. They're going to add an additional 20% bonus to that, and then they'll give you your income on a monthly basis based off of that. So in reality, anybody that moves their money into an Ascent Pro for retirement, they're going to get an additional 30% on that. So that's actually what's pretty neat on this money. Now, I have had clients tell me, what if I get this 30%? I'm about to start pulling my money, and then I say, okay, give me my money. I want to take all of it out. I was like, they're not going to give you that 20% to take with you and run, right? They'll take that 20% back. But if you stay with them, it's an incentive with the company to keep your money there and to give you an income bonus. So as we go into the Performance Elite, they do not have a income bonus. Does anybody know why it doesn't have an income bonus? Does anybody want to unmute?
Because they already put the premium bonus and they are not charging any fee.
Okay, that's a good answer. Good answer. Anybody else have a guess? No, perfect. I'll let you guys know, right? Patty, what do you think?
Because they have access to it so early on.
Good answer, good answer. But I'll let you guys know. It's because it's not an income product. Does that make sense? So just remember there's income products, there's immediate access products, and then there's growth products, right? So then the Performance Elite, it doesn't have an income bonus, but it does allow you to get a return of premium after the fourth year. So let's just say you're in your fifth year and you say, hey, I actually just want to pull out my money. You do have that option. So again, when you start to add different things to the policy, it allows you to do more, right? So it's like if you're getting a basic car and then you add twin turbo to it, you get tinted windows, you get specific rims. You're gonna be able to do more with that specific car, and it's gonna there's going to be some fees to it, right? It's going to cost a little bit more. So just remember that when you're adding things, yes, you're going to be able to do more. Just remember that you do need to tell the client, hey, we are adding these different things that you want. It will be 0.95 per year on these on this account, right? If you're doing the Performance Elite, you don't have to worry about anything unless you add a certain allocation on the Ascent Pro. If you do decide this is a 1% because it's going to give you income for life. Now, I have been asked, what if they don't get income for life for the first 3 years? Is it still a fee of 1%? Yes, because of the type of product that it is. Okay. And if you guys have questions, yeah, put them in the chat. Put them in the chat and then let me see, el 10% del total de dinero. Yeah, so le van a dar 10% en el total del dinero que vas a mover. So they're going to give you 10%. So the question is, do they give you 10% on the entire rollover? Yes, they give you 10% on the entire rollover. Is there a restriction for how much they can withdraw under that 20%? No. So if you want to get under 20%, it's just your specific amount that you can access, right? So again, I've had clients, they've had the ability to touch over 40,000 in their account and they're like, "Oh no, I just need 8,000." That's completely fine. You tell the company, "Hey, 8,000." And the reason you also want to decide on how much you take, even though they're allowing you 45,000, you don't want to take 45,000 necessarily if you don't need it. Why? Because once you take out 45,000 from a tax deferred account, you now have to pay taxes. So let's just say in that year, you made 60,000, but you want to take 8,000, but then the company says, hey, but you can take 45. You don't necessarily need to take that 45 because now you have to add it to your income for that year. And now you're at 105,000 in income. So you have to pay taxes on 105 versus just the 60. So take out the eight, make sure you're within your tax bracket, right? Everybody has their own tax bracket. And that's how you decide how much money you need to take. Also on the income, right? The Access Accent Pro 10 bonus. Let's just say the company says, hey, we're going to give you $2,500 a month. You don't necessarily need to take the $2,500. You can say, hey, I'm still working, right? Let's just say, for example, I have a client um, that left their previous job, is going to continue to start working another job, and they're already working there. We rolled over their 401k and their pension. The company said, hey, we can give them $2,500 right now. They said, no, I'm already getting $2,500 from Social Security. I have rentals. I really only, if anything, I want like $1,000, and because they're still working. So they're just like, I just want to get 1,000 just to see if I can. So the company's like, okay, be specific on the form when you fill it out. You put $1,000, and then they'll be getting that $1,000. At any point, they can say, hey, look, I don't want to take those $1,000 anymore because my income bracket continues to rise, right? So with that being said, they can say, hey, look, I want to stop that $1,000. They can, and then when they decide to get the full amount that they want on an income basis, on a monthly basis, then they're able to do that. And again, the illustration will change again because that account will grow. So with that being said, let me go over to my next slide. I hope you guys took a picture of this. Perfect. Some scenarios. Oops. All right. So we have John, a 56-year-old. And right. And this is where I'm going to have you guys put in the chat what you guys think. So we have a 56-year-old. He's married. He's currently working at Frito-Lay. He has an old account with an old 401k with Fidelity from his previous employer. He has about $305,000. in his retirement plan, and he wants to retire by the time he's 65, 67. He's not 100% sure what age, but he does know that he wants to retire between 65 and 67 based on the Social Security amount that they're going to give him. Currently, he's funding another 401k and has no immediate need for the old one. What account would you guys put him in? Would you guys put him in the Ascent Pro 10 bonus? Would you guys put him in the Performance Elite or the Performance Elite Plus? What do you guys think? Put it in the chat.
Performance Elite.
Okay, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. And then somebody said, if you take out money, do you have to pay it back? No, you do not. Performance Elite Plus, Performance Elite. Awesome. What else you guys think? Elite Plus, Elite Plus, Performance Elite Plus. As a first option, Performance Elite Plus. Okay, perfect. Now, somebody that said Performance Elite Plus, why would you guys say Performance Elite Plus? Let me see. Patty Rodriguez, I seen your comment right here. Let's go.
Because he's saying he don't have a need for the money.
Okay. Which one would you put him in? The 7, the 10, or the 15 year?
Mm, I don't know.
Okay. So we have one answer, right? So you said number 1 because he doesn't need it right now. Okay. Anybody else that said Performance Elite, let's just say 10. What would you guys say? Why would you say 10?
Yeah, Tony, I will put it on 10 because that will give it the biggest growth, and then the opportunity to do something with it right at the end of that period. So,
Yeah, perfect. And if you guys heard what Jesus said, uh, the reason he said that at the end is that you can also roll it over into an ascent at that point, right? So at year 10, after year 10, you're like, hey, what do you want to do with your money? At this point, we now know he's either still working, retired, and he's going to want immediate income from that specific rollover, right? So you do have that option to roll it over. You can roll it over with Athene or another company if you would like. He's 56. So I would do somebody, I'm reading the comments. So he's 56. You can do a 7 year Elite Plus, 7 year. Okay. So when you say 7 year, why do you guys say 7 year?
In case he needs to touch his money, so he don't have to pay the penalties, and then he can change his plan after 7 years.
After 7 years. Good, good. So if again, because we got to figure it out, right? We got to strategize on this. So if you put him into a 10-year Performance Elite Plus, you have to remember, right? He's going to have 10%. And if he doesn't touch it for at least the next 9 years, he's going to have 20% access of this money, right? Now, I highly doubt he's going to need 20% of that account, right? Hopefully, at this point, he has 600, 700,000 plus in this account. But when he has the plus, you got to remember he will have 20% access to this money if he needs it. After 59 and a half, he's not going to have the penalty from the IRS. He's just going to have to pay the taxes. So I'm glad we're talking about this and we're going over different scenarios. Now, you're not wrong if you did the 7 year, and you're not wrong if you did the 10 year, right? You can always do that. Again, now, what would we do if he said, hey, I want to retire in 3 years, right? That's a whole different product. So these questions are very important when you ask a client, hey, when do you see yourself retiring? And if anything were to happen, do you have anything else, right? Well, he's funding another 401k. If he wanted to use that account first, he can. So there's different options within this, but again, yes, I would probably say go with the Performance Elite Plus with this one because it gives them that 10% access. It gives them the highest gains in the last 9 to 10 years of his working career, right? Of what he can do with this plan. So, and we go into this right here. And remember, this is also an option, right? So he's gonna move. He hits the 10,000 because he has over 300,000 in it. He's looking for growth. He has the accessibility if he needs it, right? He does have that 0.95, but again, you're gonna want to grow the money as much as possible in his last 9 years before he does decide to retire. If he does retire in 9 years, he gets that 18% bonus on this account. And remember this, after year 4, so in his 5th year, At this point, he'll be 61. So he can also take his money out at this point. Does that make sense? Without the penalty. So just keep that in mind. Again, take a screenshot of this scenario. Take a screenshot of this, and you guys will have this and use this, and you guys can do comparisons between products like this. To keep that in mind. We have another client, Anita, right? She's 41 years old, single, currently working at Amazon, was let go as a teacher. So she had a 403B. She had a balance of 132,000. Her plan to retire is at 62, and she does have about 30,000 of debt to pay off. So sometimes we do come across these clients, guys. And this is why we have these scenarios, because these are real life scenarios. Of course, I may have changed the names on them, but we have clients where they say, hey, look at I have this money accessible to move, but what do you think? Should I take out 30,000 and pay off some debt? What do you guys think? And what product do you guys think we should move her into? So she's 41. She's going to retire in 21 years. Sorry, I was going to say 41 years. In 21 years, she plans to retire. She has 132,000 right now, and she wants to pay off debt of 30,000. So she has some credit card debt, a car loan that accumulates to 30,000. What would you guys say to her? Put the product in the chat. Put the product in the chat. And if we have a brave soul that says, I would say this to her, what would you guys say?
The Performance Elite 15?
I would say like Accent Pro, because she has the 30,000 to pay off the debt. So once her application get approved, so she can start getting a low income, which is not too much, depending on how she has to pay the tax. As you said, we have to kind of make a plan for her, how much she can withdraw and then not hitting her taxes too much.
Okay. What else? What else? And we'll go over these two that you guys just said. Performance Elite 15, you said, because she's not going to retire for 21 years. And then Bushra, sorry if I mess up your name.
No, yeah, that's correct.
She said the Ascent Pro 10.
Pro. Yeah.
Okay. So let's dive into this, right? So she's 41 right now, and she's gonna get immediate 10% access to this, right? So 10% of 132, how much is that? 13,000, right?
13,000.
13,000. So we don't want her to get hit with the penalty from Athene. She's already going to get hit with the penalty with the IRS because she's not 59 and a half. So what I would tell you guys to do before that, right? Number one, you're going to go over their finances, right? So if they're going to be able to pay off their debt, I would recommend overcoming that objection of that. But let's just say, because I've had plenty of clients say, hey, look, I have 400,000 in my annuity, in my retirement, but I need about 50,000 in this account. I need a 50,000 to myself. So what I let them know is I walk them through it. Okay, so if you have 400,000, before we roll it over, because in the rollovers, remember, you can do 100% of the rollover, and you can also do partial of the rollover before you move them into the account. So what we did was, okay, let's call the company, right? So this person had the money with Fidelity specifically. And what we do is we call Fidelity and say, hey, my client needs $50,000 because this is how much debt this person has, right? Because you're going to get hit with the tax, you're not just taking $50,000 out, you're probably taking $75,000 off. Does that make sense? So now the account goes from 400,000 down to 320.
Además, en aguacate, la próxima pueden dar además dos slices del saro, ¿no? Sí. Gracias.
So it drops down to 325,000. Does that make sense? So now we're only moving 325 into this account. Mr. and Mrs. Client, is this something that you see you have to do, or is this something you just want to do? Some of the clients will say, this is just something I want to do. Okay, let me ask you a question based off your income, based off the money that you have in your account. can you pay this debt off, right? Your monthly debt charges, you're going to have to pay about $600 in your debt to pay this off. Do you have that? Is there an option to not take the 50,000 or the 75,000 and maybe just take out 20,000 to give you some cushion, right? Because if you take out the 20, you have some monthly payments that you can make. This money, what is this money intended for? That's a question I ask. What is this money intended for? What do you think they say? Somebody give me an answer. What do you think they say? What is this money intended for? What is this retirement account intended for?
Retirement.
Simple answer, retirement. Okay, perfect. The debt. Based on our experience in our 41 years of life, will you continue to have bills and debt?
Yes.
Okay, does it make sense to take a hit on a retirement of 75,000?
No.
It doesn't, right? So again, all we can do is help, we can guide again, but at the end of the day, it's the client's choice. So when you do this, just let them know, hey, you will get hit with the tax. And if they don't believe you, I don't tell them to believe me on what I say. I say, let's call the company together. Hey, client wants to take 50,000 out. How much will they have to take out total to make sure that they get 50,000 in hand to pay off all this debt? They're going to tell them the total. The client's going to step back and say, maybe this isn't the best idea to take, half of my retirement just to pay debt off, right? Because again, remember, just because you clear some debt doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have all that income for retirement. So you want to make sure to process with the clients. Don't just tell them, hey, I think you should do this. Yes, talk to them if they're your parents. Is this the best option for you? What do you want to use your retirement for? Do you have a secondary retirement that I don't know of that we didn't talk about today? What are the different options that we have? So again, with the Performance Elite, you allow them to grow the money. If they don't want to take any fees, Performance Elite Plus, whether you do the 10 or the 15, you're going to be pretty well off with this client in building their retirement. They're young, they're 41, they still have 21 years. At that point in 10 years, in 12 years, if there's a different product that gives them even better gains in that time frame, right? Because this industry continues to evolve, then we do have that access to say, hey, look, now we can move this money to a different account. Let's go with Mary Ann. Mary Ann, 62. She's married. She's currently working. She does have an old 401k of 532,000 and wants to retire by the time she's 65, 67. And as you guys get closer to these ages of the late 50s or early 60s, you're going to see a lot of common thread between them, say between 65 and 67. The reason being is because at 65, some of them are getting almost 100% of their Social Security. At 67 is when they get 100%. Cuando entras a las edades de 55 para 62, a las personas que ya se quieren jubilar, vas a mirar que muchas personas se quieren jubilar a los 65, 67. ¿Por qué? Porque ya le van a dar 100% de su seguro social. So you're going to see a lot of this, and this is important when deciding on the product. So what would you guys do for someone that's currently working? She doesn't have a current 401k with her current job, but she does have an old 401k of 532. She's going to retire in the next 3 to maybe 5 years. What would you guys do? I'm sorry, Selene, what'd you say? Performance Elite? Is that what you said? Performance Elite? Okay, then we have Ascent Pro, Ascent Pro. What else do you guys think? Ascent Pro, what else?
Accent Pro, Income for Life.
So she's wanting to retire in 3 years. The Ascent Pro, although it does have that 1%, right? It allows her to say, hey, in 3 years when I retire, I'm going to have immediate access to my money. Does that make sense? So she's going to move the money. She immediately has access, right? but then she's going to have access to get income for life when she does retire. So she's going to allow this account to continue to grow. She's going to get the 10% bonus for moving the money, and then she's going to get the 20% income bonus when she decides to turn it on. So lo que hicimos ahorita es mover este dinero al Accent Pro porque pues movió más de 500,000. El razón, porque en 3 años se va a jubilar. En esos 3 años va a acumular dinero, pero también cuando se jubila en el año 3, le van a dar un income bonus de 20% más en su dinero cuando le van a dar el dinero por el resto de su vida. So does that make sense to you guys? Do you guys have any questions on why would we do the Ascent Pro?
Okay, Tony, I have a question.
Mhm.
For somebody that is 56 right now and is not working there anymore, and then she wants to retire, like, como cuando quisiera prender su pensión,
Maybe at 62. I don't
Like
think I'm
in-
gonna wait that long.
like in 5 years from now.
Mhm.
What can we do there? Probably the Ascent Pro.
Yeah, the Ascent Pro, because it's gonna allow her to touch it. Let's just say she says, I don't want to work till 62. I'm gonna work at, you know, till 59 and a half, 60. She can touch it in 3 years. That's gonna give her the access to it without penalties from the IRS. She's just gonna have to pay the taxes on it, right? On the pension or 401k, whatever it is.
Right.
And let's just say when she's 62, she says, hey, now I want to take Social Security out, as an example. She can even lower the amount she's getting from her Ascent Pro,
Right.
let it grow a little bit more, and then take more in a few years. Or she can say, well, I'm going to get from my Social Security and I'm going to get from the Ascent Pro. So now she has two incomes.
So income. So the more
Mhm.
the more somebody waits, the more they can get,
Oh, of course.
Yep. Yeah.
because it grows.
Money grows.
It grows right there. So, and then with the
It
Ascent,
grows. Yeah. What's that?
how much does it grow with the Ascent?
It's going to be based on the allocation. So on the allocations right here it depends on what you choose. And again, it depends on what the market does too, right? Because it's not, your money is not tied to there, but our allocations are based on the indices that they get. So if
Right.
you do,
Yeah.
100%
Yeah,
versus,
he's talking about is the low, medium, and high risk. Or what is the allocation?
so you don't risk anything with any of our products. So our products protect your money against the market. So market goes up, and this is where I'm talking about the allocation. So if you get the S&P 500, we all know over the last week, S&P 500 has not been doing good, right? You see the post every day, hey, the market dropped $1.5 trillion. Hey, the market dropped another $1 trillion. Hey, the market dropped another, $1 trillion. All our clients are protected. They lose nothing, right? But when the market comes back up, our clients also gain. Now it just depends on the allocations that you pick. Hey, I want to get 80% of the S&P 500. I pick the Nasdaq. I want 20% of my money to be based on the Nasdaq. Let's just say you pick a charge where you're saying, hey, I'm going to pay 1%, but I want 200% of what the S&P 500 does. So you're only going to get the gains, but it just depends on what allocations you choose that are going to allow you to grow your money.
Right. And then you get the fixed interest as well, no? With the Ascent.
Yeah, then there's a fixed interest option as well. So let's just say 50% of your money grows with the market and 50% is fixed. So if the market's down this year, you're no matter what going to get 50% of the market of the interest on 50% of your money. So you do have those options as well to keep an eye on.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay,
And then
cool.
I got somebody to ask, can partial pension be rolled over? So unfortunately, with pensions, you cannot move them over until they retire, right? I have personal clients. I have my aunts. I have my dad who is looking to retire as well, and we cannot touch the pension because the pension, depending on the years that they worked at their company, they will then evaluate it, and then we'll get into a little bit more right now before we finish on the pension. Can they move some of their 401k? Yes, they can. So let me see. You don't want to be receiving the pension from. Yeah. Can we choose diversify? Yep. And you also have those options um within the application to diversify your options of your allocations. You can put like, hey, I just want to make sure I have like conservative, right? You mentioned conservative. You can put that to where you're not getting charged a specific fee on it. But if you're like, hey, I want to get the most out of it, you're probably going to pay a 1% fee because they're going to choose the options that are going to go higher, but they're going to charge you a fee for that. What if they die? Can beneficiaries take over these plans? So yes, if they have a joint, so if they're married and you choose to do a joint specific annuity where if they're getting, $2,000 a month, and when they pass away, they're going to be able to do 2,000 to the spouse. Yes, if they don't do it that way and they want the max income, but they pass away in the first 3 years of them taking money, whatever's left in that account will be, a check will be written out to the beneficiary or beneficiaries, right? So then when they get that money, you as an agent, you can also let them know, hey, how did you like the fact that you were getting income monthly? They're going to say, well, I loved it. Okay, perfect. What we can do with that money is we can then put it back into an account like this, rerun the illustration, etc., the premium bonus, the income bonus, and then give you income for the rest of your life specifically. And then you get to choose your beneficiaries so that when you pass away, if there's still money in that account, they get to then give it to the next beneficiary. So it doesn't necessarily just go from spouse to spouse. It can go from spouse to kids, right? So we do have some single women and men that we've helped. When they pass away, the money's going to go to their kids. What about lump sum sitting in a bank account? Yeah, so lump sums that are sitting in a bank account. Absolutely. These are probably the easiest to do. Thank you for bringing that up, Sergio. We have clients that have sold houses, that have done very well in their sales jobs, that have done very well with their companies, and they just have 100, 2, 3, $400,000 just sitting in their accounts. Or maybe clients that work somewhere, they got their pension and they said, hey, I don't want the company to have it. I'm just going to put it in my bank account. They got hit with taxes, whatever. These can also be moved into Ascent Pro accounts, Performance Elite Plus. These can also be moved, and it's really simple. It's literally just a check that they write. We send it off to the carrier, and it's done in like less than a week. Oh, they are still working. Can they move a portion of the 401k? Yes. You just got to get with the employer, right? Because let's just say, for example, I have some clients that I'm helping out from Frito-Lay. They have 401ks and they have pensions. If they have a 401k, we call Fidelity. Hey, the account says they have $350,000. How much of the 350 can they move? They'll let you know. Hey, they can move 340,000. Income for life is regardless of the age, or it has to be 59 and a half. For the income for life for the Ascent Pro is 50 years old, which goes back to why I said you don't want to do this plan for a 0-year-old, because we do have clients that have money and say, hey, look, I want to drop 100,000 into my grandkids policy. This is probably not the policy you want to do it, right? Maybe looking at a Performance Elite or Performance Elite Plus. Is rolling out a CD any different? Nope, it's pretty similar. You just do the application, move it in. What would you do for someone who has 20,000? Whoop, sorry. What would you do for someone who only has 20,000 that they want to move? Not they are want to. Sorry, Yasmin. Not they are want to touch. If
Sorry, I'm
I was
at the
all like,
gym.
sorry.
That they're wanting to touch, like, if they have to.
Okay, say
They
that.
have
Say that.
20,000 in the bank, and so what would you do for somebody who's younger? They have like 20,000 just sitting in the bank, and they're wanting to move it, but they want to be able to touch it if they have.
So what I tell people with annuities, it's a long-term type of product, right? So if you want access, you might be looking at a whole life IBC type of product. If you want access to it like immediately, if you're willing to wait a little bit, maybe an IUL, you can do that a little bit. And if you have 20,000 and you're willing to put in, let's just say they're under 50 and they're willing to put in 7,000 into a Roth IRA and let it grow till they're 59 and a half. Those are options too. So there's a lot of different options for younger people, especially in their 20s or early 30s. But if they want access, I completely understand, because they're so young, they want to just be able to touch the money. But yeah, when you're looking at
The thing with this person is she has lupus, which is the lady I was asking you about yesterday. She has
okay,
lupus, because my first thought was, let's do an IUL, right? You're young, she's
yeah,
37. And then she hit me with, I asked her about her health, and she hit me with, I have lupus.
yeah,
So that's why. But she's looking into ways that she can do retirement. So I did bring up the Roth,
Roth,
And that she had, yeah, she did mention that she had 20,000 sitting in her bank that, she's like, I don't want to, it's not doing anything for me there.
Yeah.
And so I mentioned, well, maybe an annuity would be good, but you can't touch it for a while. It's a long-term thing. It's like, that's the only thing is I want to be able to touch it only if I have to.
Yeah, so she can touch it. I mean, again, it's just we have surrender charge periods. So the 7 year, there's a 7 year surrender, 10 year, and 15, etc. Right? So it's not that she doesn't have access. If she will, she'll just be penalized for it. So it just depends if she wants to do it for retirement. And remember, when you're talking to anybody about retirement, retirement isn't, hey, I want to put my money, whether it's a 401k or not, right? When they do retirement plans, it isn't about I want to touch it. Retirement isn't to touch, right? It's long term, right? So when you mention these annuities, you don't want to just, throw up on them and be like, yeah, these are all the bonuses you can get. It does give you 10% access, because if she says you give her 10% access, she's gonna say, "You're telling me I can only touch $2,000 of my money?" Well, this isn't supposed to be touched for another 30 years for her, right? You want to be able to build this out. The Roth, I'm not sure how she feels about it, but it does allow her to keep, 13,000 in her bank account and then drop 7,000 into a Roth IRA. She can then put it again another year. If she saves more money, she gets to dump another 7,000. So she's maxing out a Roth every single year. That allows her to build a tax-free retirement. When she does move, if you do move cash into a retirement plan, just so you know, when it does grow with the market, with annuity, you will have to pay a tax on the growth, not the cash that you put in. So just so you guys know that on the cash, you don't have to put because they've already paid taxes. It's only on the growth. But Yasmin, we can go more into detail after on this specific client because I know 37-year-olds, 30-year-olds that that have cancer and they're trying to figure something out for themselves, for their kids. Let's go to the next one real quick. 77-year-old that has 30,000 to invest in annuity can benefit from. Yeah, so it just depends if he 30 year, I mean the 77-year-old is looking for a product that he can touch it in a month, or is this 77-year-old looking to leave it in there for their grandkids, right? We have a 70-year-old that moved 100,000 and said, I don't need to touch this. So we did a performance product with this 100,000 because they don't need to touch it. They're an Ascent Pro because they get to have income for life. They're already touching that. But the 100,000, I believe it's like at 120,000 right now, their account, and they have no purpose. Their only purpose is to continue to grow it and leave it to their two daughters. So again, different reasons. Question: 37-year-old has a 401k currently employed. If what product would you recommend? Let's say it has around 100,000 in there. You can't touch it because they're 37. They have to be 59 and a half to touch that 401k. Can we write IRAs? What companies? Yes. An annuity is an IRA. What companies do we offer Roth IRAs? Roth IRAs are done through NLG specifically. And then if you want to write like a simple SEPs for business owners, for companies, we go through NLG for those. You can also use NLG specific, which again, that's for our next training actually. So I'm going to go into NLG products and F&G products into our next training. But yeah, you would use NLG right now for Roth IRAs, simple IRA, like those accounts that want to get started because you can start from $100 a month to, the IRS restrictions, right? So most of them are up to 7,000 a year. And we will finish with this one real quick. Jacob, 70-year-old, retired. He retired a week ago. Pension balance is 157,000. 401k balance is 232,000. Retirement plan, retired, right? He just retired a week ago, can live off of Social Security, but wants access to the retirement accounts at any time if needed. What would you guys do? Ascent Pro, Ascent Pro, Ascent Pro. Absolutely. Why? Because he needs access to it, right? He's living off of Social Security, he's doing a pretty good job, but with inflation, we don't know how much money he might need, right? So the Ascent Pro is gonna be a perfect product for him and his family. for his kids, right? So he's gonna want the access to the money. And again, with this, I will tell you guys, which is what we again. I'm not sure if I have scheduled the application suitability on our next call or the NLG FNG products. But with that being said, I will tell you guys this: can we move this right now? What would you guys say? Trick question. He retired a week ago. Can we move it?
Yes, because he
The
already
pension, you still
retired,
need to
right?
check with the program, but the 401k, yes.
Yes, because of
Factual.
his age.
Yes, because of his age. Yes, because he retired. Awesome. So right? That's how excited I was when I first started. I was like, yes, of course. He's 59 and a half. What kind of dumb question is that? And then I dealt with companies and they're like, well, you have to be apart from the company for 30 days. Pension, you have to be a part of the company for 60 days, right? So some companies are different. Some companies may require 90 days separation from the company. We've dealt with some companies like that as well. But again, it's just 30 days. So yes, you can sit with the client. Yes, you can get the paperwork started and you can send it off. I've done that for clients. I get with them and I send it off for them, right? Hey, we're going to send off a 401k, the pension paperwork, etc. They're moving into one account and the company will get it, right? After 30 days, they'll send out a check and then they'll either send it directly to Athene, just depending on what company has their 401k money, right? So if it's Fidelity, Vanguard, Merrill Lynch, any of these companies, some companies work differently. They'll send out a check or they'll just send a check out to the client with their name on it, right? With the Athene's name on it specifically. Then you as an agent, you go pick up that check and you pay that overnight fee, right? It's $25, $30. You go do it for the client. Don't wait for the client to just sit there. You let them know, hey, as soon as you get that check, you as an agent go drive to them, you go fly to them, whatever you have to do to go protect that money. You send it off, you get a tracking number, and it gets to Athene within literally 24 hours. With that being said, then you still have to wait for the pension. Once the pension and the company decides, okay, we're gonna give Jacob $157,000 for being with us for the last 15 years. We're sending out the check finally after 90 days, right? Don't get impatient, right? You'll want to keep high communication. Sorry, guys, you want to keep high communication with the company. I mean, with the client, and just let them know, hey, everything is good. Your 401k is already in the account. Just want to let you know, hey, how you doing? Everything's good. You're still good with the account. Yes, with what you have at home, everything, blah blah. Okay, awesome. Hey, that 90-day comes up, hey, let's go ahead and give the company a call. And so you're just keeping high communication with the client and with the company. After the 90 days, they're going to say, hey, look at, we just sent off the check. Hey, awesome. Keep communication with the client and just, hey, just let me know when you get the check. I'll be by. Go, right? Meet with them, send it off, go have coffee with them, right? Don't just be transactional, go have coffee with them. Tell them, hey, I have great news. The company just received it. Hey, let's go have, coffee again. So I have a lot of coffee with some of my older clients and just want to let you know, perfect. When it's all done and moved, hey, go have breakfast with them. Hey, I just want to congratulate you guys, blah, blah. When you need that immediate money, just let me know. There's a form we have to fill out. You can even take them, give them the form. Hey, when you're ready, here's the form. If not, if you lose it, it's okay. We have plenty of forms. And then from there, you're gonna fill out the form again, get the money, blah blah, and then you just want to make sure you put them into your system. So if you have a CRM system, put in there, hey, Jacob, 70 years old, date of birth. I moved this money with the theme, blah blah. Here's his birth. Make sure you send. The CRM should be sending out happy birthday to them. Hey, just want to happy holidays. Hey, Merry Christmas. Hey, Happy New Year. Then you keep them happy, and I guarantee you're gonna get a lot of referrals from these clients. Why? Because they've gone, if they're 70 years old, they've gone through the market crashes, they've gone through the Y2K, right? They've gone through the real estate market crash. They've gone through, hey, these countries are going to war. They've gone through, hey, COVID. Hey, they've gone through these different things. These clients are going to then tell who? Their kids. They're going to tell their old coworkers. They're going to tell people about you. They're going to tell people about you so that you can then go help them, right? Hey, what did you do? Hey, well, they were a little older than you, right? Maybe I'm dealing with the 50-year-old. They're a little bit older, but I'm glad that they're looking out for you. Let me explain some of our options, right? And then we go into that. But I appreciate you guys going in back and forth with me, right? Let me see some of your guys' faces now.
Tony,
Yeah,
so
sorry, I'm just reading the questions. Hold on, give me 1 second,
okay,
Oliver.
okay,
Two
okay.
seconds.
Yeah.
Una anualidad. Sorry, my reading in Spanish too is not the best. Una anualidad could be transferred if contract. I can't see the rest of it. 10 years. I don't know why it doesn't let me see the question.
Dice que si la puedes cambiar cuando tienes el contrato 10 años. You can transfer over when you are within the 10-year contract with it.
Yeah. So you can transfer annuities. I would say be careful when you transfer annuities or any type of account that has a fee or a surrender charge, only because you don't want the client to take a big hit. Let's just say somebody said, "Hey, I just moved my money into a variable annuity," and they're in the year 1 of year 10. And variable annuities have some high surrender charges, right? Might be 13%, might be 10%, and the client will lose 10% of that money, right? Of course, we have income bonus, we have premium bonus, so just depending on what accounts you guys move them with, you just want to be careful. You just want to let them know as well, hey, and because in the application it will also share, hey, they're gonna get hit with, if they have $1 million, they're gonna get hit with the $100,000 fee. Hey, they're gonna get hit with $10,000. Like the client has to know and needs to know if they're gonna get hit with some fees or charges, right? Before you move it. So, and before you do stuff like that, reach out to us, right? Reach out to us, reach out to the carriers. If you want to do it by yourself, 100% understand, but call the carriers before you make a move like that, before a client could be hurt. Um, the U.S. stock market has dropped over $5.5 trillion in just the last 30 days. What does that mean for us? We got to do a great job of marketing ourselves. We got to do a great job of reaching out to friends and family, specifically parents, old coworkers. Hey, do you know anybody that's 59 and a half that I can help right now? Because I know a lot of them are losing money. Hey, who do you know that's retired? Hey, who do you know that's a business owner that maybe has, right? Who do you know that's a business owner? Let me do the rest, right? What I mean by that is, you as an agent, you then contact them. Hey, they told me you might have your own traditional IRA. Are you have you been checking your account? Number one, most people are told by their advisors not to check their accounts. You want to let people know it is okay to check the account. You need to see the problem. I might have a solution for you, right? Oliver, what did you want to ask? I was like, this guy is working out right now. Let's go, Oliver.
Yeah. I still have the hype from when we got together, so that's good.
There you go.
Um, so I actually have yesterday this scenario. Okay, 60-year-old. He's deciding whether he wants to retire right now with the 80% or wait 2 years for 100% of Social Security. He has no idea how much he has on the retirement, but he works by the state, with the state. So I told him to ask first, right, what is that he has, and then also two, his family wants to retire. You know, his family wants him to retire. He's still like in the limbo because he's not sure how much, he's gonna be doing for retirement. But what they want to do is part of that money they want to pay $50,000 that they have left on their house. So, what would be the questions that you want him to ask to his employer first? And then after that, I think I have a more clarity which product we will go to
So
thanks to this
So number
training.
one, like it's just finding out who has his money. So as an example, who you go to HR, hey, who has our retirement, right? That's the first thing he needs to find out. Is it with Vanguard? Is it with Fidelity? Is it with Merrill Lynch? Is it who is the money with, right? It might be with Transamerica. Who's the money with? From there, they're not going to give you any information because they don't really have access to your retirement. You now have to, call the company, right? So now you call the company, and then the company, whoever it is, you're going to say, hey, my name is, so and so. I'm helping, so and so with it. They give me authorization to speak. They're going to say, hey, do you give them authorization to speak? Blah, blah, blah. And then, hey, they said that they were told that by their job that they have an account with you. He doesn't know how to access it. I'm trying to help him out. And they're going to say, okay, you got to make an online account, blah, blah, blah. This is the website. You're going to help them do it. But outside of helping them do it, hey, he wants to know what he currently has right now on his account. They're going to tell you, oh, so and so, Mr. Rodriguez has, 342,000 client's going to be like, I have that much money. Yep. Okay, perfect. Now, if he were to decide, because he's not, let's just say, he's not retired, he's not completely retired right now, how much can he actually move from his retirement? They're going to say, well, he is 62 years old. Based on the 342, he can move, let's just say this company says 300,000. Okay, perfect. And that's it. That's all I wanted to know. Right. At the time that he does decide to retire, hey, let me ask you, you're going to ask another question. Are there any forms on your guys' end that he needs to fill out? Is there like a IRA rollover form that he needs to sign to release the money? They're going to say no. Most of the companies are going to say no. Some companies, like Fidelity, will say yes, he needs to sign our paperwork. We appreciate you sending your paperwork, Oliver, but I don't know who Athene is, and I don't know who Oliver Montenegro is. He needs to sign our paperwork because they want to see a wet signature. That's all it is. Hope that helps. But real quick, before I jump
Perfect.
off,
Thank you.
I would definitely want to show you guys this sheet to show you guys. Where's my share button? There it is. Okay, so you guys can go on Athene if you guys have Athene already, right? So some of you guys may ask, hey, well, I don't have Athene yet. How do I look this up? Well, you have to get contracted, but in order to get contracted, you do have to have a client. The reason being is because if you don't have a client within 6 months, they'll just drop you again as an agent. So you want to make sure if you have these retirement companies, you stay right in business with them. I know, being an independent agent, you don't have a quota. Well, with carriers, you do have a quota. You have to do business, right? If you don't have business, they just drop you. So these are the product guides, right? You just go into the product guide. This is Athene Performance Elite, just to kind of give you guys a quick look at it. So it tells you right here the annual charge for the plus 0.95, right? The Performance Elite doesn't have one. And it just tells you some of the bonuses that you have, right? So like for California, it's 8%, 18%. For the Performance Elite, it's 13%. So this is where we get all the information, right? This is what I wanted to hit on with you guys, the interest crediting. So remember when I said there's no charge on the allocations, this is because it's giving you these interest amounts, right? So if you wanted to do a cap rate, it gives you a cap of 6.25, right? If you wanted to do a fixed interest rate for 1 year, it's going to give you 3.1, right? Just 3% in California. So you have these different options. As you guys can see on the left side, it gives you a 1.25 strategy charge, right? If you're doing this, I stay away from 2 years only because we don't know what the market's going to do. So I do more of the 1 years, right? I like to do more of the S&P 500. Let's just say I do this. I like the Performance Elite Plus. But let's just say we do the regular, S&P 500 with the Performance Elite. I'm doing maybe the S&P 500 here. That gives me 92% of what the market does. Maybe the NASDAQ, 120% of what the market does, right? That's kind of what I stick to specifically. Again, you can call the companies, you can do this. Athene is coming out with this specific one, the AI powered global opportunities. I like to stay with the AI powered US. I like to stay more with US companies. If you do the global, you just got to remember we don't know what it's going to do, right? But they give 140% of what that does, that specific index, 160 here. So it just depends on what you decide to do with the client, what the client's comfortable doing. You'll find the ownership, right? Ownership can only be single ownership for this specific product, premiums 10,000 up to 1 million. Remember, like I said in the beginning, if you decide to do a policy in Idaho, Connecticut, different states like that, Oregon, the minimum you can do is 5,000 specifically for this. Withdrawal charges. So if you decide to take out in under the 10 years above the contract, the 10% axis or the 5% axis, this is what you're going to be paying in fee. On top of that, if they want to cancel the policy, this is in year 5. This is what they're paying, 10% on that, right? So these are some charges if they decide to cancel. But kind of going back to what Yasmin said, hey, if somebody wants to put their money, but they want to access it immediately, all of it, there are surrender charges. So this is why I tell them, if you decide to put your money into an annuity, you're looking at long term. I want to keep this 7, 10 years plus, right? And the contract will ask you in the application, and we'll go over that as well next time. It'll tell you, hey, does this client plan on keeping this for 0 to 3 years, 5 to 7 years, 10 plus, right? Typically, if I do an annuity, they're always wanting it 10 plus again, because I make it very important to let them know that you want this for retirement. So you have a lot of different information on here. You have the access, right? 0% in the first year with the performance, and the plus you get the 10 additional. So you have all this information on here. Strategy charges, it goes over different things, right? Enhancement, withdrawals, return of premiums. So you have a lot of different information on here. If you guys just want to read the brochures, it's pretty simple, right? Some of you guys do a very good job of going on there and just checking it out. The Ascent Pro, you guys will see it has these different options on the crediting, the 1% fee, right? You'll have the ownership, on qualified, non-qualified, basically the same thing, 10,000, 1 million, right? So you have all this information on here with Athene. So as far as that, where do we learn? Guys, we get on these phone calls, we check the brochures, we call the carriers. The carriers, Athene, by the way, has trainings almost every single week on different products that they have. I would recommend that you guys pay attention to your emails. If you guys do have Athene, they send out the links. You do have to register for them, and they typically have them at 9 in the morning, right? Sometimes it's 8 in the morning, sometimes it's 11, but just keep track of that. If you genuinely want to learn more about it, if you don't, and this is too much information, don't worry. All you have to do is contact us. Hey, I want to contact you, whether it's phone. I don't know if somebody has my number, they can post it on the chat. You guys can contact me. A lot of you guys contact me through social media, preferably Instagram. I don't really use my Facebook. Whatever I post on Instagram just goes directly to Facebook. So if you guys can contact me on Instagram, preferably, it's just my name, Tony Rojas _ Junior, because I am a junior. If you message Tony Rojas, you're probably gonna find a guy that's a little balled up on top. Looks a little bit older, but that's my dad. But outside of that, reach out, guys. We're here to help you guys. I want to congratulate everybody again. If you weren't on the team call on Thursday, guys, we did 1 million in 3 days, over 1 million in 3 days, guys. Again, before we were like, man, how can we do 10 million, guys? We've done over 30 million as a team over these last 3.5 years. So if we're really looking at it, guys, we could do 30 million this year alone. If we could do, like, we were talking with Jay, if you could do one app, right, in a month, you could do one app in a week. If you could do one app, if you can do 1 million in a week, right? Before it was like, man, I can't wait till the team does 1 million like in 3 months. Then it became 1 million in a month. Now it's 1 million in 3 days. Guys, there's so many people that need our help out there. We got to do a better job of asking the questions. Ask, do you have anything that acts like life insurance? Do you have anything like a 401k, an old 401k, an old 403b, an old 457? Do you have an old IRA? Do you have a CD? Do you have a money market account? Do you have any accounts that maybe you haven't been paying attention to? Whether it's a fixed account, whether it's a variable account, whether they got, hey, my broker said I'm in a lot of index accounts. Yeah, but typically it's in a variable account that still goes up and down with the market. We're here to help. If you don't know what you're talking about, no worries. Walter is one of the best at saying, I'm a final expense whole life expert. If you want to talk to somebody about IULs or annuities, that's my broker. And he'll just say, Tony, talk to them. Tony, call them. And he'll put me on speaker with them. That's all you have to do, right? The best thing that I can tell you is I earned all my experience, the knowledge. I first, you know how I earned it? I went with someone else that knew annuities, somebody that I was like, this guy's an annuity expert. I learned from them. I saw the questions he asked in an in-home. I got with him after, hey, let's go have lunch. Hey, let's go have coffee. What did you ask? Why did you ask that? I wanted to know why this annuity expert asked these specific questions. Even though they seemed like they didn't mean anything, everything meant something in the appointment to figure out, okay, this is the product he went with, right? And then it was like, okay, well then how the heck does this guy know what product to go with? Oh, it's these questions. And then he pulled up the brochures. He said, I'm not going to read them to you. You go read them, right? It was a little bit different. So as far as that, guess what? You learn it because then you want to help somebody. If you don't want to learn it, it's completely fine. Just say, hey, Brian, I got an appointment. Hey, Tony, I got an appointment. Hey, Marco, I got an appointment. Hey, Odie, I have an appointment, right? Who can help me out with it, right? Yes, for those that want to know, yes, I've closed plenty of Spanish appointments. My Spanish doesn't have to be perfect. All they need to know is that I care about protecting their money. Um, one of the things Jason taught me back in the days, he said, firma aquí. That's all you need to know, right? I got you, y firma aquí. But outside of that, guys, it just takes some courage, right? The word says, be strong and courageous, right? It says, do not fear, right? Do not be discouraged. Will we be rejected? Yes. Will we go through some really hard clients? Yes. But some of those hard clients, they just want to test you. And all you have to do is if they're testing you, I tell people I'm like that red button. You just click it, say, you know what? I'm gonna get somebody on the phone. You call me, you let me know, hey, I'm sitting in front of a retirement client. They want to know more about it. Here, he has questions for you, right? And then we'll help you close it. That's it. But with that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys getting on a Saturday morning. I know there's nothing else you guys would rather do. We had over 60 people on this call, so I appreciate it. Let's have 60 people find an annuity. If you're not contracted and you find one, let us know as soon as possible so we can get you contracted with a retirement client. But with that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys, and let's go find another million this week. We'll see you guys.
Thank you, Tony. Muy amable.
Yep. And once we get
Gracias.
everything
Thank you, Tony.
uploaded,
Thank
you guys are
you.
welcome. Real quick, I seen the question, how can we see this training? We'll upload it and we'll get it out and we'll send it to you guys' group meets.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. We'll see you
Thank
guys.
you. We appreciate your time.